Hi guys, can everyone hear me in the back pretty well? Okay. My name's Hannah. You might have seen me around the building the past few months because I'm a sustainability intern here this summer. But my main project was working on recycling updates, so I just want to give you guys kind of the lay of how it's working out now so everyone's on the same page about everything. So I first wanted to go over what we already recycled and then what we're recycling now. So before it was aluminum and tin cans and then general plastic waste with Recycle Force, and we also recycled cardboard and paper with GHW. We're still recycling aluminum and tin cans, but for plastic specifically, we're recycling every kind of plastic except for type number 3, which is PVC. And that's usually just used for things like plumbing pipes, so we're not really dealing with a lot of that here. So it's basically every kind of plastic we can recycle as long as it's clean. And then we're still recycling cardboard and paper, but now we know we can recycle things like sticky notes, envelopes that have plastic windows, stuff like that can all be recycled here. I just have some do and don'ts for recycling too, because there's a lot of misconceptions about it and it's different everywhere. So for plastic and cans, we want to be dumping out liquid before you're recycling it and rinsing stuff off if it has like sticky substances or food or anything stuck to it. But especially dumping liquids out, we don't want to be putting liquids in the recycling bins. And then cardboard and paper, just make sure we're breaking down boxes before we recycle them. And then the don'ts of aluminum cans and plastic, don't throw away cans for sure. Cans are like one of the most valuable things that we can recycle, so if you just have to dump it out and recycle it in one of the bins, I mean, we want to make sure we're doing that as much as we can, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible for everyone to do that. And we don't want to recycle, like I said, type number 3 plastic or plastic that came into contact with raw meat. Recycle Force specifically asked us not to recycle that just because they have health and safety concerns about it, which is understandable. So anything that touched raw meat, we want to be throwing away. And then cardboard and paper, if it's soiled, like wet or greasy, we throw it away. And then if it's wax coated, which is usually things like soup or broth bottles or like milk cartons, stuff like that, we don't want to recycle those because it messes with the machines. And then these are just some examples of like things we can recycle, which luckily there's a lot of things on the yes side, but it's just some of the things I mentioned, like food wrappers, paper, cardboard, but also the vegetable bags. I know we get a lot of vegetables that are like individually bagged. Those can all be recycled as long as they don't have things like sauces or something sticking to the side, they can all be recycled. And then the don'ts, like I said, things that are wet, wax coated, raw meat, and then also glass, which is something I wanted to go over quickly because I thought we might get some questions about it. But we decided not to recycle glass for now, mainly because we're not getting a lot of glass. It's usually just the drinks in the break room. But Recycle Force specifically said if we want to recycle glass, we'd have to handle it with cut-resistant gloves. And every time we wanted to bring it to their facility, we'd have to hand deliver it ourselves. So considering that we don't get a lot of it and it had a lot of special transportation requirements, we thought it could be a project for the future, but we're not recycling it just now. And then quickly, I want to go over compost. So we composted scraps from fruits and vegetables and then unusable or moldy bread, which we're still composting both of those things, but we're going to be adding on coffee and tea grounds in the break room. So you might have seen it, but there's a compost bin on top of the fridge that you can put your coffee grounds and your coffee filters in. And then tea bags, we're not composting just because Green with Indy specifically asked that we don't compost tea bags. So if it has a staple on it, you can just rip it open and dump it in there. But that bin's just gonna be on top of the fridge. And then this is kind of what the layout of all the different bins around the building looks like. So plastic cans are almost always gonna be together just to try to make it as easy as possible. There is a plastic bin by itself that's over by the trash over there, but the plastic and cans together are going to be in the flex space, the break room, by the offices over there, and then the back kitchen hallway that's over by the Hunger Relief Kitchen. And then we have cardboard recycling in that kitchen hallway too, coffee and tea grounds in the break room, and then the compost bins are back in that hallway too. And then these are just some of the pictures I took when I put the bins up last Friday, but as you can see, plastic and cans are almost always together, color-coded, so cans are going to be red, plastic's blue, just to kind of really make it stand out which goes in which. And then these are some of the compost signs, so you can see coffee and tea grounds in the break room. That's what the bin looks like in the break room, and then the compost bins that we use for produce are over there. We also have signs above some of the trash cans just to kind of serve as a last reminder, like if you forget where things are or what you can recycle, they show color-coded of where things are laid out around the building in relation to where you are, so it kind of gives you a specific look at how you can find things depending on where you are. And then some last reminders, so we're wanting to make a volunteer position for things like separating recycling, emptying compost bins, stuff like that. So if you're at all interested in that, reach out to Michelle. And last reminder is, I know it's summer, so we're drinking a lot of water, as we should be, but instead of using some of the plastic water bottles we have in the break room, if you bring your own reusable water bottle, we have a water station right next to the break room for you guys, so you can just fill it up there. And I think that was it for reminders. Are there any questions about any of the recycling, anything? So there's going to be can, plastic, and cardboard and paper all in the back kitchen hallway right off the kitchen. So like right around the corner, kind of where the trays go that you can like slide trays in and out, they're all going to be around the corner over there. And there is also a plastic bin by itself that's just next to the trash right there too, that's kind of closer to like the produce side. But basically every type of recycling is in the kitchen hallway, like right down there. So yeah, back there. Yeah, I would say if you can, like, dump liquids out and rinse it out yourself, that would be great. I know, like, I've seen some people, like, working here go around and put stuff in recycling bins, but I think the biggest thing is it's easiest for everyone, I think, if we're just dumping it out when we have time and putting it in ourselves just to kind of help it get done, because I think the biggest thing was separating cans and plastic was the biggest worry. So if you're able to do that on your own time, that would be super helpful, but just at least setting it next to the sink to be rinsed out, I think is helpful for making sure we don't contaminate recycling. But yeah, back there. They didn't say anything about crushing them, but most of the cans I've seen, they want them just as they are, because when they do recycle it, it goes through its own machine, basically like crushing things, tearing things apart. So they just want to make sure, like, you want to keep lids on things like plastic bottles, keep the lid together with the bottle, just because you can't recycle things that are smaller than a credit card. So keeping everything together, but the biggest thing is just, again, dumping stuff out, rinsing it out, but crushing it or not crushing it, I think either way is fine. Labels on everything are fine, even with like cardboard and paper. I asked about stickers and labels and stuff, and they said all of that was fine. And like plastic in the envelopes, like stuff, like the little windows is fine. So if it has like a label on it, you don't have to worry about taking it off. So, okay, I think that's everything then. Thank you guys for listening.